views, comments, and opinions of the following program do not necessarily reflect those of Morris Media Studios, MorrisMediaLive.com, or its affiliates. Listener discretion is advised.
As you know, I am Kara Adams, and this is our Hidden Treasure Moments podcast. The point of the podcast is to give everyday people, amazing people, to give them an avenue to tell their stories and to help others to really get into or get out of tough times that they're having in their lives. The whole goal is to bring positivity, to bring some kind of laughter to the day, and to really just let you know that you are not alone. Today with me in the studio is my amazing friend and guest, Sylvia Valenzuela. Sylvia is a mother of three. She is a wife. She makes super cool recipes and food. And she's also a business owner. And so she has been through, and her family has been through, some really trying times. And so we want to talk about not only the hard stuff, but also the good stuff and how she is still here with us, how she is still so positive, and how amazing she is in the community. So please welcome Sylvia.
Hello.
So if you tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of about your family and all the greatness of Sylvia.
Okay, well, Sylvia is just a mother. She's just...
Not just.
I am. I'm a mother. I'm a wife to the husband, which is what I call him sometimes. We have a very simple life. We have three boys. My oldest is going to be 18 this year. We have a middle child who's going to be 13, and then a younger little boy who is going to be 10 this year. So It's a big birthday year. I don't know. We were going to go broke, I think. But yeah, we try to stick close. We try to just take every day, one day at a time, and just try to be positive.
And now what's funny is Sylvia and I met on a company kind of retreat vacation thing that we go on every single year. And so, before I didn't really know you. You were kind of the hostess with the mostest. You made everyone feel super comfortable. We would go out to dinner. We would do fun stuff together. But you really had a very interesting story and a really interesting life. And I will say, 2 years ago when we all went to Hawaii, big ups to Hawaii. I love Hawaii. But we all went to Hawaii, and I had just been diagnosed with breast cancer.
Yeah.
And we had gone.
And we did not know, I don't think.
No.
We did not know.
You didn't know. And Troy and I made the decision that we were not going to tell anybody. Yeah. Because we didn't want to become the focal point of the trip.
Story. Yeah.
Yeah. And we didn't want to
Which
become
I completely
the story.
understand. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of what I do too. I don't want to be the story. I just want to kind of let other people be the story. Let the moment be the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I find that, I don't know if this is like you, but for me, my husband, Troy, he is this super, extroverted, outgoing, I am kind of the more introverted. I'm in the background. But really, the real Kara, I think that really deep down, I am more extroverted than people would know. Okay. It's just, I like being in his shadow. I like seeing...
You like to let him shine.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. I like to let him shine.
Take it, Troy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think when we were going through all of that and seeing how you were and then learning more about you, I wonder which one you are. Are you the more extroverted or the more introverted?
That's a really tough question. I come from a large family. There's a bunch of girls and one boy. And we are all completely different. We grew up in the same house.
Now,
but
like,
you
what's a
wouldn't know
large
it.
family? How many?
8.
That's a large family.
8, and there was 7 girls and 1 little boy.
Oh, wow.
And we spanned 20 years. So huge difference, huge age difference.
Your parents liked
between
each
all
other.
Of us. They were just busy, or maybe didn't have a lot of money, so they didn't really do things.
They did
so
other things.
Yeah, they
Got
did.
it.
But yeah, if you were to have all of us in a room and say, okay, you guys are all related, we're all completely different. So some of them are way more out there and some of them are not. And I would just say that I'm in a box and there's lots of different people in that box. You know, I sometimes I like to shine. Sometimes I just want to. I really like to just be in the room watching, and I'm perfectly fine just being with the husband, being with the kids. I'm perfectly fine if the school only knows me as Jacob's mom, Gavin's mom, Caden's mom. You don't need to know anything about me. I'm fine. So I really try to just let the kids have it. Be there for the husband when he needs me. Things like that. I just happen to actually co-own a business. That's just part of it.
Now, how did you get, because your business is called In Vogue Salon and Spa. So how did that all, and you're a stylist by trade.
Yes.
So how did that all come about? And have you seen like a lot of changes? Because I know I was getting my hair done the other day and my hairdresser was talking about like the different laws and all this craziness that's happening right now.
Yeah,
so,
there's stuff like that.
So what's like, how is that being a salon owner and being kind of in that industry?
I love it. I love it. In the very, very beginning when I first went to school and I ran a salon for like 5 years and the owner was, she lived in Huntington Beach and I'm from Riverside and she was like, against me going to cosmetology school because then I wouldn't be able to open or close, and she was like, no, you can't. No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You don't want to do what they do. They don't make a lot of money. And I'm like, they're not making a lot of money because you're not paying them anything. You are paying these people nothing. So it was clear to me that if I did it, I needed to leave, which was fine. And once me and Michael got married, I had the chance to go to school and I never worked in a type of salon that you didn't. I was very strong and brave, and I just went like booth rent is what they call it. When you have no clients, but I will get some, and I'll be fine.
And now how, like for anyone who's listening who is, thinking about coming out of school or doing that, like how did you get your clients? I know as an entrepreneur, making that transition from the dream to like paying my rent, like it's really hard.
Paying your rent. It takes a good year, maybe 2. But, I was already working in the salon for 5 years. I mean, I was seeing so much, learning so much. We had classes there for the stylist, updo classes, makeup classes, clipper classes, haircutting classes, color classes. So I was learning stuff that whole time. And then after that, I went to work in the beauty salon store where I did nothing but gain more information. So it was really, I was just filling up. So when I went out there, I was like, there's no way I'm taking all of this knowledge and going to work in a place where someone's going to make all my money.
Right.
It was like, I am going to go the other way and I'm just going to do it. And it took about a year. And in between that year, I got pregnant, had a baby. And it took he was about 15 months old when everything, that whole, because I was doing really good. I was doing really, really good. And I was getting it to where I had a really good clientele.
But how did you get them?
You just have to put the time in.
Like, really. Did you go to your friends first? Like, did they trust you enough to
I have a lot of family.
Okay.
I had them and, just word of mouth. It came. I didn't really have to work hard for it. I just had to put the time in. You just have to be there.
So tell me if you do this, and maybe it's just me. Maybe I look super approachable or I look crazy and my hair is jacked up. I don't know. It's one or the other.
I'm approachable.
But so like I'll be like, let's say I'll be at a restaurant, like having a meeting with somebody, and I'll have a stylist be like, oh, if you need to get your hair done, here's my card.
No, it's more the other way around. They'll be like, oh, your hair looks so cute. Because my hair's really curly. Oh, your hair looks so cute. And they'll be like, oh, I actually do hair. And they'll, oh my God, really? Yeah.
Oh, so you're like your own billboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You don't do the opposite. I mean, for anyone who does, good for you for being an entrepreneur. But I always take it very like,
no,
I must be looking crazy today.
There's times when I want to. When the girl hair needs like 18 inches just chopped, I want to so bad. But at the bank, I just kind of, I don't do it.
So it's more about you, like when people come up to you and you being your own billboard and then having like a card or something so that
I think I just wasn't afraid. You know, we would hire stylists all the time at the salon I was working at. And they had no one. You know, they were just, you know, working. They would get like a small amount of what they make. And I just knew that if they could do it, I could do it.
Yeah. And now
I
what?
was extremely brave.
I know I'm completely off topic, but
that's fine. We said that was going to happen.
That's what happens here. But like what, I'm just really interested for people who are doing it now and they're in that industry. Like what's a good base? Like how do you know when you're making what you should? Like is it 50% you keep? Like, you know, when you pay a booth rental, you pay the booth rental and you keep 100%. But if you're new and you know, don't really have the money to do that. Like what is, if you're negotiating.
Well, everything's changed now. So now there's Instagram and all these things for you to, if you wanted to, post your pictures of who you did. And that also really helps you build clients also. So now I would think it's way easier than it was back when I was doing hair, when we just had to, you know, hope that people called in or hope that people, you know, told people about me.
And okay, I have one more thing and then I'm gonna get off the subject. So my other big gripe is when like I'll meet a new stylist or I'll try somebody out and they have that like appointment app. And like I have to pay for the appointment.
Oh, I've never heard of that.
Oh my goodness. Maybe it's just like our salons. I don't know.
I've never heard of that.
But I've had people like, oh, go to my link, go to my website, you book your appointment, you pay up front. If you don't come, if you don't give 24-hour notice, then we keep half of it or whatever.
The medical industry.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Your appointment is canceled and you're billed for it. No.
Yeah, okay, like that. All right.
At least not in
your salon.
In my salon, no.
Okay. So anyone who's like, Kara, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. Yeah. All I can say
We're all just doing our best.
Exactly, is what I know and what I've been through. So kind of moving on away from like job and you know, being kind of that stand up to that person who's holding Michael, your husband, up. Like, do you ever find, because Mike is very attractive. Like he's a looker. I'm gonna just tell you. I'm gonna let you know. She's got a very fine husband. I'm gonna tell Mike, if you're listening to this, I did not say that. But like, how is that? Because my husband, you know, because Troy, I know you're listening. Hey, baby, but he's very attractive. Like, and so sometimes I find myself like, okay, I'm gonna try to look cute so that.
Funny. You know, if he's gonna get attention, go get that attention.
Good.
No, I don't think there's anything ever wrong with him being an attractive person and going out there and being confident in him. He needs that. We all need that.
Right.
We're not the jealous type. We're not. I think I would probably point out a really beautiful girl and be like, oh my God, check her out.
I used to do that. I don't do that no more. He can find a cute girl on his own. I don't need to point her out.
No, we're pretty confident with each other. We're good, but no, I don't think we have a problem with that. With either one of us, you know, getting any attention.
Yeah. That's good. Troy says all the time, he's like, if a guy's looking at you and you're on my arm, then that just says, you know, I've got something cute. Like, it just makes me feel better.
Exactly. It's a compliment.
But you know what's crazy is when we first got married, I didn't know how to be married. And so I would wear like, you know, maybe it's laziness, maybe it's some other thing that was going on, but like I would dress down. I would wear like comfy clothes. I started looking like my mom.
No.
And like I really had to transition out of that. But in the beginning, that is what I thought. Like I didn't think men should look at me, that they should like what is it? Flirt with me. And do you have that at all? Or like, I'm just interested to hear like another wife, like what that has been like for you, like when you guys first got married and to who you are today.
I think I have always been 100% the same. I've always, when I was 15 and before I could wear makeup, I was wearing makeup.
Oh,
you were a girly girl. I've always been a girly girl. The girly girl with nothing but boys. Yeah.
I know.
I don't know how that happened.
No.
But I dress for myself every day. I make sure my hair is done. People say things at school, but they don't know that, like, I have a sweet spot when I go to work. And that sweet spot is from 8:30 to like 1:30. That is when I work. And so when I'm dropping my kids off in that loop and I'm giving them a kiss and kicking them out of the car, I'm racing to the salon to do my 8:30. So I'm not going to go there in my jammies. I'm not going to go. I'm going to go, representing myself. So if I represent the husband well, that's just
the cherry on top.
Yeah. I represent myself, not
and you truly are like your own billboard. Like,
yeah.
That makes,
I think so.
It makes a lot of sense. And I still I'm way better at it now than I was I think
I've gotten way better at trying to, like I'll go to the grocery store. I might not have lip gloss on, but chances are I probably put it on right when I was getting my cart. Do you think that that's cultural at all? No, that's just me.
Okay. I'm like, because were you raised where like your mom was
No, because my sisters aren't that way. Not all of them are that way. I've heard people ask, so is your sister all the time? Is she always all the time? That's just her.
Because like when I see you, when we're on our vacations or whatever, like you are always very well put together.
Yeah. I try.
Yeah.
I hope.
Good for you. I'm not quite there. I'm still working on it.
It's in my blood. I can't. I wish I can get to the gym more, but that's just busyness.
Yeah.
Really.
Don't we all? Yeah. I got 10 more pounds of my cancer weight to get off and finally be good. But, what I want to do is take a quick break because we're already kind of at that point.
Oh, we are?
Yeah. You see how fast that happens?
Yeah.
Woo! And so, what I want you to think about is, you have been through a lot. And I named this episode All That Glitters because, you always, anytime I see you, you always seem so put together. So, so happy, so alive. And I know that comes from everything you've persevered through. And so I want you to think about your I'm still standing moment. Like when things were at their absolute worst and you kind of turn back and think, oh my God, I'm still here. I am still standing. I am still doing okay. I am still moving forward. When we come back, if you can talk a little bit about that and let us in. And then before we go, I just want to remember that I want to interact with people. So I'm trying to do better at if you do something on YouTube or if you leave a comment, I'm going to try really hard to answer it while on the show. And then also remember, you can call in because we are live and you can call in to 323-293-3375. So please feel free to call in and we will be right back. for tuning back in. You are with the Hidden Treasure Moments podcast. My guest today is Sylvia, and I'm just so excited for you to be here in the flesh. We're doing good. So when we left, we were talking about your I'm Still Standing moment, because you really have been through a lot. So if you could tell us a little bit about that and when that moment occurred for you.
Okay, so it happened kind of around the holidays, right around the holidays when I started noticing a few things about my firstborn, my son. And this is when I was working a lot, and we had decided to have host Christmas this year. And so I like the cooking, and I like people to come over, and I like everyone to have a good time. And I remember things bothering me at that time, and I was mentioning them to the doctor and mentioning it, for a while to him. He wasn't quite hitting his milestones. And the doctor just kept, he looked at me like I was just this young first-time mother, but I wasn't young. I was, 27, maybe 28. I wasn't this little girl. And he just continued to brush me off on a lot of things. So finally, it was right after that I called and wanted to get in for an appointment. And she said, oh, well, he has his, 15-month checkup or something like that in February, something like that. And I was like...
So he was a baby.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm not waiting for his... I need to get in right now. And at that point, I started getting a little emotional on the phone. And she goes, okay, let me just give you to the other doctor. He's new, and I'll just give you to him. And I was like, great, sounds great. So I went in with him, and I sat my son down, and we talked for a little while. And the doctor just kept looking at me like, what are we doing here? And I just had this idea in my mind that I'm not leaving until you tell me something's wrong. Because by then... I was noticing things, and I'd been talking to my sister about it, and so she was really starting feeling. He was 15 months, and he wasn't walking. He wasn't crawling. He when I held him on my hip, he would start to sway a little bit to the side, like if he couldn't keep his balance. And there was one time, it was the day of the appointment, that I noticed that his left eye was veering off a little bit. And I was like, oh, I'm just getting so frustrated. I remember being very frustrated. So when I went in there, I was adamant that this guy was going to tell me something was wrong with my kid, because I was not going crazy. You just
knew it, yeah.
And so he sat there for about 45 minutes, and he was new, so he didn't have a lot of other people in the office yet. And he said, okay, we're going to send him to get a CAT scan. We're going to send him to the neurologist. And I was like, okay, great. When can we book that? And he was like, I'm going to send you right now. And I was like, okay,
Did that scare you, or that made you feel better?
It was starting to make me feel calmer.
Okay.
Like someone's hearing me, someone's listening to me, I'm on path. So I get there, and it could have been a while, but there's naps and feeding time, the schedule that you have.
Right.
So we're sitting there, and I'm just feeding him, and I hear the nurse, okay, and then the doctor comes out, and he's like, is there a Jacob out here? And I'm like, there's like a big deal. I need to see you like now. And I was like,
what he said?
And I was like, okay, I guess the doctor had called and said, has she been seen yet? And oh no. And he was like, get him in now. So we go in, and again, it's the whole process again. I don't think anything's wrong with him. He looks fine. So I set him on the hard tile floor, and he falls over. And I said, that is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So we ordered a CAT scan. Me and my husband take him the very next day. And I have clients booked, okay, because, I'm working.
Yeah.
I'm like making money. And he calls us when we get home from the CAT scan and says, hey, are you with your husband? I said, yeah. And he goes, okay, I need you guys to come back to the office. And I said, well, can we come later? Because I have 11 o'clock. And he's like,
spoken like an entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah. Just get your husband. Don't worry about the 11 o'clock. Just get your husband, get your son, and come down to the office real quick. And I was like, okay. So we get there, and he walks into the office, and he is like a madman. He's running and talking on the phone, and he's, doing all these things, and his barking at his receptionist girl. And then he comes in and he goes, okay, the good news is you guys have great insurance. And I was like, okay, and? The bad news is your son has a tumor the size of a softball in his head.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, okay.
But he didn't say it like that.
Kind of. Kind of. And I was like, okay. And my husband is just like turning colors, like blood gone. And I think he's holding Jake. And I'm just like, okay, so what do we do?
Yeah.
Because you're like, on this.
I knew something was wrong.
Yeah. I just felt relief. Okay, what is the next step? So he says, my husband starts asking ridiculous questions. So he sends him out.
Like
says,
what?
You go get the cat's
Like
keys.
what did he ask?
Are we sure? Is there what do we? And
Like he's still in denial.
he's still lost.
Yeah.
It had to have been such a horrible, horrible day for him. But on my side, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
let's get this
it.
done. Yeah. So he sends him to go get the CAT scan. He is running over curbs, missing people. I mean, I don't know how we got there. I don't know how we got there and got them. But as soon as my husband leaves, he's like, okay, so this is what's going to happen. You are going to get on the 60 freeway and you are going to drive out to UCLA Medical Center. There is going to be a doctor that is going to meet you in admitting, and he's going to take you straight up to the 7th floor or whatever, and you're going to have surgery on him tonight.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, can I go home and grab that? No, there's no going home. I'm like, I just want to, I'm going to need, my makeup bag, And he was like, no, you just need to get on the freeway right now because, if you might not get there till 3, with traffic, LA traffic. And I was like, okay. Okay. So I get whatever paperwork he has. My husband swings up to the front and we head out. I am in the car calling my clients. And finally I just said, you know what? I called the owner of the salon, told her, I don't know when I'll be back in. She's like, okay, is everything okay? And I said, well, my son might have surgery tonight.
Wow. You're 15-month-old.
My 15-month-old might have surgery tonight. So that was, that led into just, I don't want to say a dark time because you have a child who's looking at you for support and comfort. And he's so uncomfortable. They do the surgery.
But, what was the urgency? Not just, I know, he had a tumor, but were they scared he was going to stroke? Or, to go from nobody really trusting you to all of a sudden, no, you need to go right this second.
I think the urgency was, it was pressing on so many things. Now that the eye, when I told him the eye, and that he was and that was, the eye was in within days, a couple of days. That he would fall was days. I remember having to prop him on that pillow.
So the progression was moving really fast.
And the hydrocephalus was bad too. It was causing just swelling of the brain.
And what's hydrocephalus?
Fluid in the brain.
Okay.
Too much. The fluid is supposed to circulate all the way down the spine, and it wasn't circulating anywhere.
And was his head getting bigger?
He always had a big head. I remember telling the doctor, his pediatrician, at every 3-month visit, I'm having to cut this kid's pajamas, to get them over his head. He's going to be a big baby. He's going to be a big boy. He's going to be a football. Look how big your husband is. And I said, look how big he is. He's not that big.
Yeah.
He's not, this big, ginormous guy.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But he was just...
That instinct, that mother's intuition.
Yeah. And you know what? I truly think that had his brain not have continued to... His skull not have continued to grow, things would have... I don't think he would have survived. There was a reason why it was able to accommodate.
What was all the fluid?
Yeah, and the tumor. And if that, I think things would have ended up completely different.
And so was the tumor benign? What did they find out?
Okay, so we're in a PICU, Pediatric Intensive Care Unit in UCLA, which is a learning hospital. So there's all these interns, and I'm aware, and I'm like a person on the wall, but I'm watching everything and everyone. And I keep watching these interns go into this computer room, and they're looking at something. And I could see that it's a head, the screen. I could see that it's a head. I could see that it's a CAT scan. And right after they did the 7-hour surgery, they rushed us straight down to the basement to do another CAT scan because he was worried he didn't get it all. So I know they're looking at it. So I walked in there. I'm like, hey, guys, what you looking at? And one of the students got up, and she was like, this little boy has a tumor. And I said, oh, no. And I said, that's still there, isn't it? That's after. And that spot is still in there. She goes, yeah. I go, they didn't get it all. Did she? And she goes, no. I said, okay. And it was like that big. So the picture before was like big, like like a lemon. And then what was left was still like a large grape.
Oh my god!
So that didn't really make me feel good because I kind of thought, okay, we're good. So after that, I remember going over to a nurse and saying, "What's going on now? Like, when are we going to handle that?" And he goes, "Oh, they're waiting for an oncologist to come talk to you." I said, "Okay."
So right then and there?
No.
Oh.
I said, "What's an oncologist?"
Oh gosh.
I had no clue, and he looks at the other nurse and he goes, they're a cancer doctor. I said, okay. And I turned around, and I don't think I cried because Jake's right there. How do you cry and break down in front of your son?
Yeah.
I couldn't. So I just said, okay.
Was Mike right
We got a little more to go. No, I think he'd stepped out of the room or something. I don't know if he was. I don't remember him being right there. I think it was like for me to go into the room. I don't think anybody was there.
Oh,
to like do my little spy work.
To be mom.
Yeah. So anyway, then the oncologist comes and tells us, your son's so young. He's under 3, and the chances of his survival are very, very slim. So,
and is that how he tells you?
Yeah. Very, very slim. And, the fact that he's going to be handicapped after all of this is going to be really difficult for a young couple. So,
Is how he tells you.
Yeah. And he's sitting like on my couch, chair / bed. And I'm just like, I need to get out of here. I need to leave. He has no hope for me. He has no hope for my son. He's not going to help us.
Right.
And he brought up my insurance too. He brought up, but you have really good insurance, so we'll give it all we got.
That is just awful.
See what we can do. So I remember talking to my sister in the corner, away from Jake, and not crying, but just being really positive. I need to get out of here. She goes, "Okay, I know we're gonna go. We're gonna go to Loma Linda." And I was like, "Okay, fine."
Like, you mean I need to get out of here? Like, I need to leave this damn hospital?
Yeah, but they wouldn't let us because there were still things.
Yeah.
He was still very critical. So as soon as we left, we got out of there. We went to Loma Linda, and kind of the same thing happened there too. They were very, very positive that the outcome would be good, but he was so young. He was under that 3, and that 3-year-old is like.
So that's like a threshold.
Yeah.
For child, like pediatric cancer.
If you're over 3, you have a much better chance. If you're under 3, your chances are very slim. Were very slim. So, she comes and, the beautiful, this doctor, this surgeon was like this beautiful long-haired blonde woman. She's like, so, and she shows me the CAT scan, and I'm just like, what? What was this? The size of a grape is now 3 grapes in 2 weeks.
Oh my!
She's like, we have to get that out, and I'm just like, another surgery? Are you serious? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. So then I'm just kind of talking to her about, she is just a neurologist, a neurosurgeon. She's not an oncologist. So I'm like, asking her about that, and she's like, well, whatever you decide is whatever you decide. Now, the funny part about all of this is. The husband, works for a radio station, and they do a lot of fundraisers. They do fundraisers for many hospitals, and at that time, it was January now. and they were about to do a fundraiser for St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. So he gets a phone call from head of
Like oncology?
Yeah. The tumor board, that's what they call it. Like the head, gets a phone call from them and he says, hey, I heard that your son is having some hard time and I heard that he has medulloblastoma and we have, a few of them here. If you're interested, we would love to, because of everything you've done for our hospital, we'd love to give you a third opinion.
Wow.
Where are you at in the stages? And he's like, we haven't done anything. They want to have another surgery. But I think we're fine. I think we're okay.
Like, we don't need to go.
I'm not moving to Memphis.
Right.
Yeah. So I knew about that, but I kind of was like, that's not going to happen. That's not necessary. So I remember talking to this beautiful blonde lady who wants to open up my son's head. And I remember telling her, how do you feel about the oncology here? And she's like, it's great. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. She goes, but I'm just a pediatric neurosurgeon. It's up to you. And I said, well, here's the thing. We kind of have like an invitation, I guess, to get a third opinion. And she was like, oh, where? I tell her. And she's like, that is where I trained. I trained there. If you were to go there, he would have surgery on Wednesday. And the person that would be operating him is the person who trained me.
Wow.
And I'm just like jaw dropping, like, you're kidding me. No way. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. So she's like, I'll be right back. So she goes out of my room when she's walking around the corner. And she's on the phone with the doctor. He answers her phone call. And she's like, And he's like, oh, Jacob from California. Yeah, we know all about him. Are they coming? So she comes back in the room and she says, Dr. Sanford wants to know if you're coming.
That is crazy.
And I said, yeah.
To Tennessee.
I said, yeah.
It's so crazy
Tell
how life
we're
works
coming.
out. Oh my gosh.
And in a split second, I just made the decision.
Yeah.
To check out of this hospital. That's a great hospital.
Yeah.
Wonderful hospital.
I had my baby there. Yes.
Check out of this hospital and get on a plane with my sick baby and take him halfway across the country.
Oh my God.
And I hadn't even told my husband yet.
And I don't know this story at all. Like, this is the first time we've talked about this.
It was, just something I felt like I really, really needed to do. And I'm not saying where we were couldn't have had the same effect, couldn't have had the same result. Right. But I do know that when I spoke with the oncologist, it was basically we'd had two patients that were under 3. Okay. 2 patients under 3. And, we tried this and we tried that. And I said, is there any way I can speak to the parents? I just want to know what I'm in for.
For the Loma Linda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Children's Hospital. And she says, they didn't make it.
So right there.
It wasn't right there, but it was a little bit like, he can still be the one. In my mind, he can still be the one. He can still make it.
Because you're truly optimistic. Like, in your mind.
I wasn't, but there I was. I was pretty comfortable. I was. My niece had been treated there. She had Wilms tumors. I know they had great radiation there, proton therapy radiation there. I knew that we'd probably be okay. But when I'm talking to this beautiful blonde, Dr. Osterdock, I'm just like, yes, we'll go. Tell him I'll be there. Okay. And she says, okay, Jennifer is going to give you a call on blah, blah, blah day. And I'm like, okay. So that was it. So we discharged. And I'm in the car with all of our stuff, my makeup bag and my Nike duffel bag and Jake in the car seat. And we're in there for like another probably a week or 2. And so it's been a month since I've really been home. And I drive up into the driveway and my neighbor's like, where have you been? And I'm like, it's a story. But we got to go. And on my way home, we had cell phones then. Okay, so, and
You are not 80 years old.
I know. No. And I call my husband, and he says, where are you? You sound like you're driving, not in the hospital. And I said, oh, Yeah. I just discharged Jake.
Oh my God.
And he's very, like, I could hear him breathing. Okay. And I said, we're going to go to St. Jude. And he goes, okay. And I go, someone's going to give me a call to set everything up. And he goes, okay, I'll see you at home. And I went home, and it was like, I have so many things to do. Let's have a party before I leave. You know, like, let's invite everybody over because I didn't know when I was going to be back.
Uh-huh.
I had no idea.
And like your clientele, like everything.
Oh, they were gone. Yeah, I just said I went and collected my stuff and never went back. Anyway, so we fly to Memphis and we're walking into registration, and this woman, Jackie, looks at me and she says, "This must be Jacob." And I'm just like, "Are you serious?"
Wow.
Hey, Jacob from California. How you doing, baby?
Wow.
Just like a warm hug. We automatically stayed at the Ronald McDonald House, and we stayed there for a little while. And I was so worried about, like, milk, you know, having milk for him. And she's like, "Oh, they have a whole refrigerator for that." And I was like, "A refrigerator for milk?" And she's like, "They have a whole nothing.
Like breast milk.
It is the refrigerator just for milk."
For
And I was
like breast milk.
No, like 2%, 1%.
Oh.
Chocolate, like.
Okay, now I'm tracking. tracking.
So I'm like, okay, that's fine. Okay, we can do this. And so we moved into the Ronald McDonald House. We then moved into the Target House, which I never knew existed. It's a beautiful 2 buildings with fully furnished 2-bedroom apartment that is yours the entire time that you're there.
And so, like, to pay to, like, your trip and to get there and to stay there, like, I know I see St. Jude commercials all the time, and they say, like, no family is asked to pay. Is that
right?
Like,
it is 100% true. They take your insurance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Which they also said, "Oh, you got really good insurance." Yay!
Yeah.
But there's no copay.
Okay.
There's never any. I've never received a bill. No. They bill my insurance for everything, but anything beyond is they handle it. So if Jacob did not have insurance, then they would have it would not have mattered.
Wow.
Yeah. So we lived there. Jake
How
and
long were
I
you there?
lived for about a year, from 2003 to 2004.
A year?
Yeah. A
Because
year.
you think about, like, I think about my treatment. My treatment was a year. But wow.
He had to have surgery again, and Dr. Sanford, the one that trained the beautiful blonde, did his surgery, and it was successful. It was great. And then he immediately started 20 weeks of chemotherapy, followed by 6 weeks of radiation, followed by another 20 weeks of chemotherapy.
Wow.
It was a lot. There was a lot of times where he was sick, where we had to postpone, you know, because his body was not ready for more.
And was
really
Mike
difficult.
there with you? Was he going back and forth to his job?
You know, there's no way I couldn't have had the husband there with Jake and this job. It was like a job, a 7-day-a-week job. And so his job was wonderful, and they gave him 1 week off that he could work out of the office. So he would take the 2 weekends, and he would be with me there, and I wouldn't do nothing. And Jake would be so happy to see him, but when that day was coming, when we were have to take him to the airport, Jake would not look at him.
Really?
And I know that had to break his heart.
Yeah.
But it was like, oh, you're here now, and now you're leaving. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. That he doesn't understand.
Didn't understand. Yeah. So that was tough, but it was really easy for me to just focus on Jacob. If he can't eat because he's NPO, I'm not going to eat in front of him.
What is NPO?
Oh.
Oh, no.
It's a medical term, like if you are going to have a procedure, you can't eat that day. So no, I don't know what it actually stands for, but he basically wouldn't be able to eat. And guys can't do that. And it was very easy for me to just completely just pay attention to Jacob 100% that entire time.
Now, all of this stuff, like, you are super positive and, like, super into the I feel like the affirmation part of like when you speak positivity, like that comes back, maybe not, to that level, but something like in you, how do you get past or get through all of that and never break down?
I really, really felt like my life had been leading up to this moment.
Wow.
I did.
So
I had conversations with my older sister about it. Like, how are you dealing with this? And I'm like, I just feel like this was meant to happen, and I'm meant to be his mom, and I'm meant to get him through this time in his life, and we're going to be okay. I feel like I've always been an independent person. I've always been not wanting to do what everybody else did. I don't need, there were things I wanted to do before I got married. There were things I knew that as soon as I could, I was going to move out and never move back. I knew I was going to, buy my own car and just do my own thing. I didn't need to marry the first boyfriend, the second boyfriend. You know what? I did not. There was no need to do any of that. I would be fine.
So did you ever break down? Like, did you ever I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know how I'm going to keep going. Like, did you ever have that moment?
There were times when I did, and Michael will remind me of them. Remember that one time? It just doesn't happen very often. He's here. What do I have to be sad about? Like, get on with the world. If someone flips me off or cuts me off, I don't care. I am here. He is here. We had 2 more children. Like life goes on.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to get me down. We all have issues. We all live through things.
Right.
You cannot take something and make that mark you forever.
Right. It shouldn't define you.
No.
Yeah.
And if it does a little bit, because, I choose to always pay attention to, Jacob, Gavin, and Caden. I'm all of their mothers.
Yes.
And if I can't make it to every single sport event or every single activity, oh well. I have 3 children. And I have to be there for all 3 children. So, there's Michael for that. You can go there, honey.
Well, that has been great. It feels like your I'm still standing moment isn't really a moment. It's almost like a principle or just how you live. Like, it's not I'm still standing. It's I'm here. My son is here.
He's
My
here.
kids are here.
Yep.
And so every moment for you is like, you see how precious life truly is, and that you just have to live in the moment and, love and feel passionate and feel like, things are going to get better.
Yes. It did. I'm not going to say it did not alter me.
Yeah.
It definitely.
Because it has to.
Altered me. And my priorities are definitely altered. And I give no, that's just the way it is. That's just me.
Well, you were fabulous. So we are going to take a quick break. Can't believe how fast. Learning all about you, Miss Sylvia. And when we come back, I really want to think about what you treasure today. And, after everything you've been through, and being such a strong person, those things that you truly treasure. And, kind of along that line, I'm a huge advocate of, being selfish, of living a life that you love, and of feeling like you are putting yourself first at some point. Because when you put yourself first, it helps you to be better for everyone else. I talk about it every show. I have a VIP gym retreat that's coming up in May. It's May 11th. We would love for you to all be there. Super easy to sign up. You just go to my website, which is www.karaadams.com, and you just spell it like how you see on the screen, Karaadams. And it's really all about that. It's about living in the moment, being in your self-love, recognizing that when you are good to yourself, you're better for everyone else. And it's just a day for us to love it on each other and have a really good time. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about what we treasure, what you treasure, Sylvia, and we will be starting to close up. Hello, we are back. This is our Hidden Treasure Moments podcast. My guest today is Sylvia. And kind of on the break, we were talking a little bit. I do not want to forget to say and to talk about being an advocate for yourself, for your kids, for your family, when it comes to the medical industry, when it comes to being diagnosed with anything, and that's one point I really want to touch upon is that, Sylvia, you were a huge advocate for your son, and hopefully things would have still been great, but a lot of the times they don't end up like that because we don't listen to that little voice in our head that's telling us something isn't right.
Yeah. I don't come from the strongest mother. She's an incredibly loving, unconditional loving mother, but I come from a very strong sister. And I did always have her in my ear. She was always doing research for me at home. She was always, learning more, and she'd print pages up and bring them to me. And I think that helped me also say, no, I'm not going to settle. My son is more important. And there are these options out there. Who am I to not, benefit from these options?
Yeah.
So she had a lot to do with it also. Yeah.
And I'd say for me, if it was my son, that I would do anything to protect my son, to make sure he was okay. And so, it was hard because coming from being the patient and seeing I broke down a ton, but I never really saw Troy break down. And so when I think about how you were with your son and how Troy was with me, it puts it in perspective because I know viewers might think there is no way she didn't break down. There's no way this or there's no way that. But when I really think back to my own situation, I didn't see Troy break down until I was dang near dead. And so, but it took so much and he was so strong. And so to see that, I can see where that comes from, and I can relate to
Someone
it.
has to be standing.
Someone has to be standing.
Yeah.
Somebody, that's a good word. So
it's not easy, but yeah.
Yeah. And so when you think about everything you've been through and, you are a different person, you can't help but to be, what are the things that leave you and that you treasure as being, something that you hold close to your heart?
It's just my family, I think. It's just those three boys, the husband. I don't think I could have done it all by myself. I did have a lot of help. Just, extended family. My sister's my mom. She's always been there for me whenever I needed her. To give the best care to my kids. She's always been there. But, I think I just took it one day at a time and just appreciate what we have and try not to want for more. Try to just be happy on the grass that we're in, and not.
That's good.
Yeah.
We should all be a little more
We
like
try
that.
to take trips and stuff with the kids, and we go camping a lot. I'll take the boys camping a lot. Michael's working, so I have that flexibility. I take the kids camping.
Gosh. Hate camping.
I will pack it up. Me and the boys will pack it up.
Good girl.
And they are out there learning how to make a bonfire by themselves. They're out there. They're so patient, and we just sit at the beach for hours. And if Michael comes to visit us, he comes. If not, it's fine. We're fine. We're pretty. I show them strength. I think that I hope that I show them strength. The boys.
You do. I can guarantee.
I think so.
If I see it, I'm sure they see it because that's what you model.
I hope so.
So if you were to say a few thank yous.
Oh. Well, definitely to you for giving me this opportunity and inviting me on.
I'm so glad you said yes.
I can't believe I did. Don't know what I was thinking. But definitely thank you to my mom. She's really been there a lot. Michael for always keeping the ship steady, keeping the ship stocked and, well taken care of, so that I can do my part with the kids. they have just Jake alone has so many appointments, so many things that he requires. So
and it's been like 10 years.
Oh my, he's going to be 18.
Oh,
I didn't say that. He's going to be 18 in September. I know. He is a man. Yeah. But he's my baby. He's my sweet boy.
Little Jakey.
Yeah. And he has 2 young brothers that drive him crazy, but they look out for him. I remember my 3-year-old, my youngest one, when he was 3, he would, when Jake gets out of the car, because he's a little delayed cognitively, and we'd get out of the car, and Caden, my little one, he would run around the car and grab his hand just to make sure he was safe and like close, you know? And I just always thought, I really hope that they appreciate and they just kind of take a little bit of understanding along with them on their road.
Yeah, on their journey.
Yeah.
That they're going to
understand people a little bit.
Yeah, they're going to have an empathy that everyone...
I hope so. Yeah, I really hope so. Which they do. Even Gavin will take a step out and make sure Jake's okay and stuff like that. Yeah. It's good.
That is wonderful. Well, I want to thank Sylvia for being my guest today. I really appreciate it. And again, the goal with Hidden Treasure Moments podcast is to give everyday people a voice to know that we all have a message, we all have a story, and we all can persevere if we just talk about it. If we just are transparent in our struggle and recognize that we all do it a little bit different, but at the end of the day, we get to where we're going. I want to thank Morris Media Studios. I want to thank Felicia for just putting together such amazing podcast. I always have to thank my husband, Troy Adams, my son, Truly Adams, who is amazing. And then all of you who are watching and who are listening and who are supporting. We have done, I think this is my 4th podcast now, and we've gotten 23,000 minutes of people watching.
Oh my gosh. What?
Yay! So until next week, we will be here again on Thursdays at 10:30 at this same channel, this same place. Thursday, my husband will be on, so he will be a hoot. Who knows what he'll say? And we hope to see you again. Remember, life is to be treasured. Love yourselves and love everyone around you. Bye.